if you are a woman that wants to work, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that you could probably find a better balance than, just feeling like you have to work all the time. Like work the amount that fulfills you while also fulfilling your like feminine side and your motherly side and things like that, your wifely side.
There are certain things that as a man in my masculine, it's easier for me to handle. Right. And there's certain things that are harder for me to handle that are easier for you to handle. And it's like, it's a synergy. Like we're working together, and if you see yourself as one, then you don't really think, oh, well, men and women, you don't really think, well, why does he do these things and he gets to do this and or however you want to, because people complain on both sides, like why does she get to stay home or why does he have to be, why is he the boss, why is he the authority or the leader, and the answer is, if you're thinking in terms of one, those questions don't make any sense at all.
When a woman is taking on the masculine things like paying her bills so she can survive and having food so she can survive, like you're in survival mode, which is masculinity.
Right.
Like back in tribal days, the guy went and got food and the wives stayed with the other tribe members and took care of the children.
Right.
And they made clothes or they did things like that. Like that is where they like got to use their feminine side to that. Because I think that you can still have the yin and yang with a woman working, but I would say ideally, if a woman wants to work, because I'm all for, if you went to school and you got a degree and you love what you do,
for sure,
do it.
For sure.
But I would say even like part-time would allow her to spend time with her children if she has it, allow her to have more of that like feminine energy to like do what she wants that is like feminine and, her time, her me time. But still get to work and be involved in the career that she really loves. Like you said, some women, they're just like, I have to do this and I don't really want to do it. And I do think women are being more vocal about that. Like we've talked about, like you see plenty of like TikToks of like stay-at-home wives and stay-at-home girlfriends, stay-at-home moms, that instead of like how it used to be, like you said, where people would be like, oh, you just don't want to work or you're lazy or what are you doing? Like now people are more embracing that. And even women are like, this is the life that I want. Like they're actually saying that. So I do think it's coming a little.
I think so.
But I'm also trying to say that like, if you are a woman that wants to work, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that you could probably find a better balance than, just feeling like you have to work all the time. Like work the amount that fulfills you while also fulfilling your like feminine side and your motherly side and things like that, your wifely side. So I just wanted to throw that in there because I don't think that everyone has to just stay home.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. Even
it's hard to just stay home, like in different ways. Like I'm not saying like work wise it's hard. I would say more like mentally it can be like more challenging just because it's like you're in the same space, you get time to do the things that you want to do, but like your whole life is like relationships and like I value that. I love that. It's hard for me too at times though, because I'm very like sensitive to other people's emotions and things like that. And there's things that I've had to like heal and work on and continue to work on because I'm faced with like so many triggers, right? From like being a parent, like in this parent role, being a wife, like I was not those things like a year ago. So it's like, it's constantly learning. So it's like, it's work in other ways where I feel like if you're working in like a career outside the home, you're like focused on that type of work.
Right.
Not saying that people don't focus on their internal work, but I'm just saying like when you are at home, it's different types of work that you need to focus on.
Exactly,
It's not necessarily like good or bad, it's just different. And a lot of actually like stay-at-home moms or stay-at-home wives or things like that talk about that, which is also good too. But again, sometimes you get the people who are like, you don't have a job. Like, what problems do you have? And like, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't have work-related problems.
Right, but they're different.
And I'm grateful for that.
Right.
But there are other challenges that you face is all I'm just trying to say.
Of course, yeah. And I think that's very true. And again, it's, I think part of it too, and I'll get into the masculine versus the feminine, like what are they? But is that we talked about this in some other episodes, is that there are certain things that as a man in my masculine, it's easier for me to handle.
Right.
Right. And there's certain things that are harder for me to handle that are easier for you to handle. And it's like, it's a synergy. Like we're working together,
right.
You know, and if you see yourself as one, then you don't really think, oh, well, men and women, you don't really think, well, why does he do these things and he gets to do this and
right.
You know, or however you want to, because people complain on both sides, like why does she get to stay home, or you know, why does he have to be, why is he the boss, why is he the authority or the leader, you know? And the answer is, if you're thinking in terms of one, those questions don't make any sense at all,
right.
because you're
well, and it's actually different. You're like, wow, like I'm so appreciative that he is taking on this stressor for me,
right.
because it doesn't stress him out,
right.
and it gives me this freedom and this peace now. Like it should be looked at that way that I just described, right. because that is truly what it is. And it's hard for me. It's been hard for me when you're like, hey, I can handle this, like, give me this. And I'm like, what? Like, no, this is stressful. Like, I'm not giving you this. Like,
right, yeah.
I don't want to put stress on you. And you're like, no, I can handle it. Yeah. And you do handle it.
Right.
And it does give me more peace in my life. And
right.
so that's what it really should be
right.
looked at. Like, but I agree with you that some people, it's very like, well, why does she get to stay home? Or like, right. why does he get to tell me what to do? But the thing is, like, if you're viewing it that way, you have some other sort of problems that are causing you to like fight so hard against this thing.
Right. And you can't be feminine as a woman unless I'm taking a lot of that stuff off of you,
right.
so that you're not burdened with all of these decisions and the right. stress. And those are the things that, honestly, like I said, as a man, they're easy for me. But then it allows you to be feminine, which then unlocks the thing that's actually valuable to me as a man, which is the nurturing, because I need that. You know what I mean?
Right.
I need the support, the nurturing, the caring
right.
that I don't necessarily have, and that I don't have someone else to fill that role for me, which gives me the strength to be able to take on the outside. It's almost like the man is the shield that protects the family and the woman from the out. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so if that shield isn't up, the softness inside can't be there has to be a shield.
Well, then the softness has to get hard.
Right, everyone has to be hard.
Create. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you actually made me think about like going way, way back to like tribal days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the masculinity is about survival.
Right.
And when a woman is taking on the masculine things like paying her bills so she can survive and
right.
having food so she can survive, like you're in survival mode, which is masculinity.
Right.
Like back in tribal days, the guy went and got food and the wives stayed with the other tribe members and took care of the children.
Right.
And they made clothes or they did things like that. Like that is where they like got to use their feminine side to
right.
really provide for not only her family, but the whole tribe community, right? Like they used their strengths, which was the nurturing and the caring and the, homemaking or TP making, I guess you could say back then. And the guys went out and they got the food and that was like the money of that time, right?
Exactly.
Like food was what you needed to survive and it was not easy to get. You couldn't just go to the grocery store. You had to go hunt. So like today, making the money is almost like the hunting and the gathering that the man would do.
Right.
And he's providing that shield. He's providing survival for his family with those things. And the woman is, like you said, providing like the home and taking care of the kids and like caring about the family unit in the ways that she'll do it.
Right. It's survive and thrive.
Right.
He's the survival. She's the makes you thrive.
Right.
So but it is important to have those separate roles. And I guess that's where maybe we've kind of already defined some pieces of it, but just for everyone that doesn't understand masculine versus feminine, the way I would define masculine, right? The masculine energy is analytical, is a rock, hard.
A rock.
Right? You can think of a rock like not being swept away by the wind, not emotional, right? Analytical.
I was just literally thinking of a rock. And I'm like, this is a guy, a pet rock.
Yeah, someone you can count on, depend on.
No, I know what you mean.
Unshifting. And so, and it, seeking to break through obstacles.
Right.
Seeking freedom, right? Those are the things that is masculine. Whereas the feminine is sort of the opposite of that, right? The feminine is soft. The feminine is nurturing. The feminine is not thinking about the future, but is in the now, in the present moment. That's dancing, enjoying the pleasures of life. You know what I mean? The man's like, no, we don't have time for fun. We got to get work done. Right. The feminine's
more
enjoying
serious
those things.
And more playful sort of thing.
Yeah. And that is, and emotional, right? And the emotional side of things, which neither is good or bad. Right. It's like a man, I talked about this in one of my videos about if you just had a masculine world, it would not be a very fun place. It would just be work. It would just be like the Vulcans from Star Trek where everything is logical. And so the man needs some femininity in his life to actually enjoy life, the thriving part of life. Mm-hmm. And, and if you had a totally feminine world, if it was just feminine, you wouldn't survive. Everyone would be like, oh, well, everything's got to be fair. Everything's got to be equal. There would never be, oh, well, we can't kill those people over there because, even though we need to survive, like they're just going to, we.
Are you talking about tribal days?
I'm talking about tribal days? Yeah, I mean, because more tribal days. But I'm just saying that you wouldn't have people to make the tough decisions that need to be made sometimes that, because of that, because you sometimes you do need to be hard in life, and sometimes you need the softness as well. You have to have a balance of the both. Both are necessary in order to survive as a species, but also in a relationship to survive. Right. Because you can't just run everything masculine. And what you see relationships that a lot of times today where it's masculine. Right. And a lot of guys set this up and they don't even realize it, especially a lot of guys that I talk to in personal development, because they get so good at developing themselves. They're like, I'm going to the gym. I'm working on my business. I wake up at 5:40 every morning. I do my things. I plan out my day. Right. And then they meet a girl and they're like, all right, I got a buddy now, and they start treating her like a buddy instead of a woman, instead of feminine. And so like, okay, we're going to wake up at 5:40 in the morning and we're going to write down our to-do list and we're going to work on our businesses together and all these things and, go to the gym. Right. And a lot of times the woman kind of goes along with that. Mm-hmm. And then, their sex life is gone because there's no attraction anymore because they're the same. There's no polarization. They're the same. And so they lose attraction for each other. They start to fight. They start to have problems, or they just become best friends. And there's no actual sexual attraction. There's no chemistry.
Romantic.
Right? Yeah. And that's necessary. It needs to be there. That's what holds the people together is that connection, which is the polarity.